Treasury President MP Anand comes before the mighty Ogo to ask for money since they can't do it through the regular channels with the question of privilege in the House. And MP Kusie tears her a new one. Welcome to Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. With the House of Commons seized by the privilege motion put forward by the Conservatives because the federal Liberals are hiding something and are refusing to surrender unredacted documents, either they're protecting themselves or they're protecting their friends, they have to go through irregular channels to get their budget. It turns out that their last budget, the current budget that they're operating under, is $6.7 billion over. And that's just what they'll admit to. We might not know until after they're out of office just how far over budget they've gone. $6.7 billion. And they want to talk to you about being responsible. They want to talk to you about tightening your belt. They want to tell you that it's all going to be okay if you don't pay 5% on the GST. Anyway, my attitude is reflected in MP Kusie, who had a 5-minute round at MP Anand in front of the operations committee, the OGO. And I'm telling you, wow, like I'm telling you, oh, it's well worth watching.
Very much, and thank you very much, Minister, for returning to this committee. You know, your opening it's beyond rich. I'm going to read some facts to you about your government, Minister, that I'm sure you're very well aware of. CEBA reported yesterday $3.5 billion in funds that were awarded to those who should not have received them. We've had the Arrive scam scandal, $9 million NYC condo. And this is the most expensive government in the history of Canada. And you're coming here and accusing us of playing political games at a time when your government has been completely irresponsible. And as I've said repeatedly, in this committee, you are the one minister who holds the purse strings. I'm actually shocked the Prime Minister gave you another job, considering the responsibility that you hold as president of the Treasury Board. Your effort should be entirely focused here as president of the Treasury Board on reducing the deficit. Because I will also remind you that from April to September of this year, the deficit is already $8.2 billion higher than it was the year before. The PBO that we have coming in the following hour said that you will miss the deficit target by $6.8 billion. So that's my first question to you. Is this number even accurate, $6.8 billion? Tell us today, Minister, how bad is the number? Tell Canadians.
Well, what I will tell Canadians is that unlike the Conservatives who vote against supports for Canadians at every step, whether it is the National School Food Program, whether it is the dental care program, whether it is the Canadian Armed Forces, whether it is affordable housing or Jordan's Principle, the Conservatives vote against Canadians every single time. So I find it strange that you can say you actually do support Canadians and you do care about Canadians when you vote against Canadians at every turn. So the question,
okay, so like
really
the Prime Minister, it's
very
clear
concerning for
you don't
all
know the
members
number.
Of the House.
Prime Minister showed Pierre Poilievre he didn't know the number last week, and like the Prime Minister, you don't know the number. Then tell me the number. Tell me the number.
I know the numbers. And
tell me the number. What's the deficit going to be this year? Tell the number to Canadians, please.
We are definitely engaged with all the departments in the government, including the Department of Finance, that holds the purse strings in terms of our budgetary commitments, and we will be ensuring that the public accounts are delivered by the end of the year where all of the numbers will be contained.
Minister, now you come in here and you talk about all of these programs and how you are taking care of Canadians. Yeah, you can't even take care of the public service, and it's evident now. As it was quoted in Options this week, if you lay out the puzzle pieces as we head into the fiscal update, it becomes clear that there is no path forward for this government that doesn't go through the public service, you can even keep your promise to them to take care of them, to hold their jobs. Why should Canadians believe that you can take responsibility for them when you can't even take responsibility for the public service?
Again,
so you have stated now that you are going to look beyond attrition to cuts in the public service. We know from your track record, we know from our work on McKinsey, we know from the Accenture information released yesterday with the Auditor General that you won't do it alone. So can you share with Canadians, please, who have you hired to help you complete the layoffs in the public service?
Again, more inaccurate statements from my honorable colleague. I would first of all like to thank the public servants for their incredibly hard work. I would also like to say that our government will not be adopting DRAP-style measures like previous Conservative governments have done. We are continuing services
So
to
what are you going to do to
Canadians
save the money then,
without
Minister?
any
You have this
impact
deficit.
to
You haven't
delivery.
met your deficits in recent years. The PBO says that you are overshooting the number that you gave already. You haven't been able to give a number here
we
today.
will
What are you
continue
going to
to
do?
be here for
When you
public
arrived in this
service.
position, not this past summer, but the summer before, you were so enthusiastic, so peachy keen about all the savings that you were going to find, and you haven't found these savings, Minister.
Again.
In fact, your financial position is worse. So tell Canadians today, what do you plan to do? You've let down the public service.
Mr.
Or are you going to
Chair,
let down the Canadians
Chair,
as well?
Those statements are inaccurate. We have actually saved on professional services approximately $800 million, and we have instituted a number of reforms to ensure that there is more discipline in the system relating to contracting with third parties. I announced those last March. They include an updated manager's guide. They include a revised directive on the conflict of interest. They include a horizontal audit, and they include the development of a risk and compliance process. So all of those measures, in addition to reducing the government's reliance on third-party contractors, must be taken into account, and they certainly weren't reflected in the honourable members' questions.
Yeah, but was reflected was the continued debt, the continued deficit, you letting down Canadians, and which increases their taxes. You're talking about all these programs. You don't seem to understand that these programs cost money, that they add, in fact, to the burden of Canadians, because you are not keeping your promise to the public service or to Canadians, as is evidenced by the continued deficits, including the one this year, and you can't even tell me what it is.
Perhaps
Thank
the
you very
honourable
much,
member
Mr.
can
Chair.
explain why she's going to vote against
we will
400,000
now go
children
to,
and voting against
sorry,
the
it's-
National School Food
Sorry,
Program.
I have the floor.
That's the
I
question.
have the floor here, Minister. We said we'd stick to specific times.
Wow. Man, oh man, that was awesome. I really believe that politicians or people like MP Anand deserve that kind of thing. I think that she's always so dismissive, so condescending, so, aloof to the problems of Canadians that she just doesn't really ever have to feel that kind of blowback. And I applaud MP Kusie for finally just letting her have it. I mean, guns a-blazing. I don't think she even asked her a question. I mean, I get that she did, but really, she just completely overwhelmed her, wiped the floor with her. Turns out that not surrendering the redacted documents was one of the worst mistakes the Liberals have made in this current political calendar. All of their dirty laundry is coming to light, and they have to come hat in hand and ask for people to approve their little tiny pieces of the budget. And they can't hide and mask other things. They can't just say, oh, well, we want $1 million for so-and-so, and really it's all because they want to send it to some program that most of us don't agree with. This question of privilege, they should have just surrendered the unredacted documents and everything would have gone the same way. Them and the NDP could have crammed all of their garbage down our throats, just like they have been doing for year after year after year. I think it's befitting that MP Anand should be taken to task for her behavior, for her action. I believe that all of the ministers of the Liberal government and most of the NDP should just be completely removed from office because they have led this country to a horrible place. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. All right, I'm going to wrap here. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this channel with all of your socials. I will talk to you next time.